Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
Just goes to show the offense for the Dallas Stars could not keep up, and when the defense needed to step up, the Lightning's offense just overpowered them.
It makes it almost impossible for their bats to get going or have any confidence in the locker room when you're getting absolutely hosed on the defensive end.
He's like, oh shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It's their defense, man. Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt.
You saw Luka. I'm very intrigued to see how Luka bounces back after his first playoff series.
For next season, there are massive free agents like Giannis. And if Giannis goes to a team like the Heat, like I said before, I expect them to win the championship. 4 teams who could win the AFC in my mind, legitimately. Steelers, Chiefs, Titans, Ravens.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert and Tony Pollard.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life.
So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing to have the Astros win a World Series and then you have to hear them.
Now LeBron's a 4-time champion and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
I think you have 2 established number 1 wide receivers in Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, and I think you have an emerging star in C.D. Lamb.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our 45th episode. We moved this, our 45th episode is the episode we said on our 43rd, which would be our 44th, but our 44th episode was actually March Madness, Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four review. Let us know your thoughts on that. Now we are back to the MLB playoff predictions, and it's a good thing to have back a full 162 game season right now. And in baseball fashion, I will have Austin be the leadoff hitter.
Yep. I mean, let's start with the. This has been a great start to the season. I've been really enjoying everything except for how the Yankees are getting destroyed by the Blue Jays every time we play them, and we can't get any runs going. So, I'm partially concerned, but do you want to start with your AL East predictions?
Well, yeah, and it sounds like the Rangers and the Yankees have something in common, as the Rangers could not beat the Blue Jays today, even though they're much different teams. But I'm just taking my Rangers wins as much as I can. But for the AL East, speaking of the Yankees, I have them winning the division. I like the addition of Corey Kluber. I think they got him on a nice deal, and I just think Kluber with the Yankees, there's a high upside and that can work out. And of course, you have Garrett Cole. So Yankees, I have it number 1. I have the Rays, even though they did lose some pieces. I think they're still going to play well. I think that playoff experience will do well, and they got some good players. And then number 3, I have the Blue Jays. I just don't see the Blue Jays putting it together, even though they do look to have it together now. I like their moves, though, but they are missing George Springer, which I think will hurt them. But I could see the Blue Jays and Rays flopping. Then I got the Red Sox, and then I got the Orioles. And the Red Sox, I think, are going to be a bad team, but I think they will just be a little bit better than the Orioles. What are your AL East predictions?
Yeah. So ours are pretty similar, except we have a couple that flop places. I also think the Yankees will win this division. Like you said, there's too much on the line for the Yankees not to win the division. As a Yankees fan myself, the disappointment that will be throughout the organization if we do not have a quality playoff run this season will be immense. And I think they will do well with that pressure, as New York teams always have a lot of attention towards them, and they're expected to be good consistently. And I think that'll help them throughout the season as they feed off the atmosphere around them and eventually do win this division. Second place, I changed I think the Blue Jays will pull this out. I really like their additions, and even though they won't have George Springer until a week or so from now, I still believe they'll get enough out of him for their roster of Marcus Semien and Bo Bichette and the entire. I just really like their roster, and I think after losing Blake Snell, I do not know if the Rays are as good as they are. They need to prove me wrong. I don't believe in them. I'll just say that right now. I don't believe this is a playoff team, and they will have to prove me wrong. But third, I do have the Rays. I do think they're better than the other two, who are, I think, in a class of their own, and not in a good way. And then I have the Orioles. I think the Red Sox are terrible. They have one of the worst pitching lineups I've ever seen, and that includes the Rangers this season. They are just so bad. You can't allow 11 runs to the Orioles and think you're good. That's just not how that works. And then lastly, I have it's Orioles and the Red Sox. I don't think either of those teams are really contending. The top three are definitely contending. I could see either of the three win the division, and I could see any of those teams flip-flopping spaces depending on how the season progresses, especially big injuries occur. But there is no way, and you can quote this on me, there is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
I'm quoting you on that.
Yeah,
I'm bookmarking this.
Yeah, there is no possible scenario I can see where either of those two teams make the playoffs. However, the Orioles are starting off their season 3-0. I don't know if the Twins game ended, but they were down 11-1 when I looked. So, no, that was the Tigers. The Tigers were down 11-1. Another team I don't think was going to make the playoffs, but we'll get to that in a second. What do you think about the AL Central?
Yeah, so speaking of the AL Central, I like what the White Sox did. I like the addition of Lance Lynn. They have Lucas Giolito, or I
Something
hope
like
I pronounced
that.
his...
I thought it was
yeah.
Giolito, but I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that.
Oh yeah, I will not quote you on that. I'm quoting you on the Orioles Red Sox, not on the pronunciation.
Yeah.
And then I like the addition of Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn is a pitcher that plays well with Lucas. I'm not saying his last name. And I just like where they're going. I think they're a young team that's made some moves. So I have them winning the division. Second, I have the Twins, who are doing really well with Nelson Cruz. I definitely do not harbor any hard feelings for Nelson Cruz as a Rangers fan. But he hit a couple of home runs, I believe, in that game you were talking about with the Tigers. And they also have a good rotation going as well. Shoemaker was pitching really well against the Tigers. They also have J.A. Happ near the end of their rotation. So that's a good thing. And then the Tigers, I have finishing third. I think it's not because they're going to be that good. I just think of the two teams that are below them are going to be pretty bad. And then the teams I have are the Royals. The Royals made some nice moves, but I didn't like how their pitching played well. They did not play well, as Brad Keller couldn't make it out of the first inning, or maybe he couldn't make it out of the second. And then Mike Minor didn't look well in a start that I saw yesterday. Then I have Cleveland. Cleveland is just, they've traded Lindor. They kind of they swindled the Rangers. Depends on how Emmanuel Clase does, but when the Rangers only had 2 innings of Corey Kluber, they did get rid of Delino DeShields, but depends how Clase does for the Indians. But they're just regrowing that farm system, and that's because they're a small market team. What do you think about your AL Central?
So my AL Central, we swapped the top 2. I have the Twins winning the division. I just think this team can hit. I think they had the most home runs in a season ever in 2019. They were just edging out the Yankees at the end of the season, and I think that'll continue. Guys like Nelson Cruz, who hit 2 home runs today against the Tigers in a 15-6 win. And just this lineup has been to the playoffs many times lately. While they keep on losing to the Yankees, we'll have to see how that continues, or maybe not. I just trust that this team's growing. Sano played well today, scoring 2 runs, 3 walks, which is insane. But I just like this Twins roster better than the White Sox. And the White Sox started off this season terribly. starting I think 1-3 against the Angels of all teams, and yeah, I'm gonna trust that was the Angels growing and not the White Sox showing their true colors. And so I have the White Sox being second, but this is the worst division in baseball in my opinion, and it's not even close. Next, I have the Tigers, and then the Royals, and then Cleveland. There's not much to talk about. All three of those teams are rebuilding. Cleveland is terrible. They got rid of Lindor, and they are so bad. Uh, I just can't say anything good about Cleveland right now. The Royals, I think, are getting better. It would not surprise me if the Royals do finish higher than the Tigers. That is full possibility. They have a lot of young players. Profar is playing well, and I really like their roster. Oh wait, is that Solar? Is Solar his name?
Solar.
Yeah, yeah.
Profile is on the
Yeah,
Padres.
they ended in AR. I just got confused.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
I made those mistakes.
Yeah, it's close enough. The Twins and the White Sox, I think, are the only two teams that can make a playoff push. Oh, well, one of them has to if the other three are out. But yeah, this is the worst division in baseball. I don't see either any one of these teams making a far run unless it is the Twins, and it's only because of their hitting. What do you think about the AL West?
The AL West. I just gotta take a moment. I don't want to puke when I say this team's name. It's a hard thing. The Houston Astros. I have them winning the division. As much as I hate it, they're good. They're good. And I'm basing it on they have the best rotation in the AL West by far. Because and this is without Verlander. I'm saying this without Verlander. I believe they have the same rotation they have with playoffs where they made that run. George Springer is a huge loss, but they still have some good players. But I think their rotation is what's going to beat everyone else in the AL West. The Athletics, I have as a close second. They did lose Simeon as he went to the
Blue Jays.
Blue Jays, yeah. I was looking for them. I'm like, they're not in the AL Central. But thank you. They did get Elvis Andrews, which is weird seeing him in a uniform, but he's a good hitter. And they are looking for Matt Olson and Matt Chapman to make a comeback. But I just don't trust their pitching. That's the only thing. Like, if they had a good pitching rotation, I have them over the Astros. But the Astros have the better rotation. Then you got the Angels. The Angels are a little bit of a wild card to me because, like, I saw that lineup where they had Fletcher, Ohtani, Trout, Rendon. I saw Ohtani, Trout, and Rendon. That if they're all hitting well, Trout of course is going to hit well. But if Ohtani's hitting well and Rendon's going to do well, that would be something. He pitched really well last night, so that's the wild card to me. But then I got the Mariners. They're gonna be better than the Rangers. The Rangers, I see the Rangers moving on from Gallo during this season if nothing else changes, because I think they're just gonna tear it down. They do have some bright spots, which is Trevino, Taylor Hearn. They got Colby Allard, and maybe they can trade Gallo. And then the only thing I'm looking for the Rangers is to draft the Jesuit Dallas Star, Jordan Lawler. But that's getting a little too ahead of myself. But what are your thoughts on the AL West?
I took a little bit to make these predictions because I don't know how bad the Athletics are. Because they started off the season as bad as you can start your first 4 games, 0-4. They were destroyed by the Astros. It wasn't even close. So I have the Astros finishing first. Second, I have the Angels. It all depends on Ohtani's health, Trout's health, Rendon's health, Fletcher, obviously, and then how Pujols can play. He played well a little. He's not batting well, but he has 4 RBIs in the 2 full games that he played, and he like pinch hit in one of them. But next I have the Mariners, and the reason why I have the Mariners, they started off well, but it's not just that. I just don't trust Athletics pitching. You said it perfectly. In pitching, in my opinion, is way more important than batting, especially in the sense of how a team's going to place over an entire season. Batting can win you a game, but is it going to win you a series? Is it going to make you into? Is it going to win you a season? I don't know. I really don't trust the Athletics right now. Starting 0-4, not even winning a game in a series of 4, that's tough. And I know it's the Astros, and I'm gonna have to see more. Obviously, these are just preseason, not preseason, but it's early season predictions. And so I have the Mariners at 3 and the Athletics at 4. Even though I don't see I don't see the Athletics making the playoffs this season. They definitely can. They have the star power, but without a rotation, I cannot trust them. And then there's the Rangers, and they may draft Jordan, and that's a thing.
Yeah. That's the only thing that's got me hyped for Rangers. Jared Sandler, Taylor Hearn, then draft. That's it. Like, sorry, Rangers.
I just hope
but
I just hope they don't lose 100 games. If they can get it under, if they can win over 62 games, it's a win season for me. That, like, if they can get it, I mean, I honestly anticipate like 105 losses. I wouldn't be surprised if they go 105-57. That wouldn't surprise me. Or no, not 105-57. I said that backwards. 57 and 105. Man, if the Rangers win 105-57, I don't know what I would do with myself. My prediction would be so wrong. But
they're breaking 100 losses. Like, that's a given.
well,
They
that's why I
have
say
to.
it's a win season if they don't.
Well, yeah.
If they go 63-99, it's an outstanding season for the players they have on that roster. Lowe is playing very well, not pitching, but playing very well.
Also, David Dahl. He's a guy to watch
Yeah.
for a Rangers fan. Because, do you think I'm overreacting that they might trade Gallo, or
I think it's
that's just
possible
like
that they
what's-
trade Gallo, especially if a lot of their players are getting hits like that he could have gotten. It's also getting the sense from other teams like what they would give up to get him, especially if they can get some quality minor leaguers. I mean, I definitely think that's a great decision. But it depends. It depends on how much a team would be willing to give up to get Gallo. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. However, I don't know how much a team would give up for a player that strikes out a lot.
Yeah. One thing that's non-Rangers, but in the AL West, you talked about pitching. The Rays last season, that's what made their postseason run. Like, their pitching was incredible.
I mean,
Their
sorry to
hitting-
interrupt, but if you think about the Nationals World Series run, it was Scherzer, it was Strasburg. I mean, it was just, what can I say? They just played amazing. They just pitched. Steven Strasburg won World Series MVP, and it's not. I'm not saying it's rare, but it is not normal that a pitcher wins uh, MVP of a series. It does happen, but especially for a World Series, I mean, their pitching won them the series, and like you said, uh, the Athletics, I don't think are there. They may have to make a trade, and they have to trade somebody important to do it, like Olsen, and try to get a very quality starting pitcher from a bad team, or maybe try to pick up try to develop some young players during the season. I don't really know how they're going to change it, but they may have to give up an asset to acquire a quality bullpen.
Yeah, I think we can move over to the National League, and then we'll do our wild card predictions at the end. So I'll start with the NL East. This one's going to be a tough division, in my opinion. Like, I see three teams.
This is in my opinion the best division in baseball right here in the East. I have no idea. I mean, all my predictions they could be flipped. Like, I have no idea. And you can start. Sorry, but I just had to.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I just looked at my list. I was like, well, 5. Yeah, that's everyone in the standings. But from what I have now, I have the Braves. I like their hitting. They're also getting some good players back, pitching wise, but the bullpen could hurt them as they lost some players. And then I got the Mets. I like the Lindor trade. I think that's a great trade. They got Pete Alonso at first base. But Noah Syndergaard, I think that's the one who's coming back from Tommy John surgery later in the season. Then they got Jacob deGrom. So those are two incredible pitchers. Then I have the Nationals. We mentioned Scherzer, Strasburg. There's also Patrick Corbin. But that's it. They did not play well last year. I think Scherzer got injured earlier in the 60-game season.
Juan Soto was also out for a number of games. I mean, it was just injury prone, but they did get Josh Bell.
Yeah, Josh Bell is a good move. It's great to see him leave the Pirates and join a national team. So that's a thing because their first baseman Zimmerman opted out once again for COVID, if I'm correct.
I'll check up on that. You can continue.
Okay, so the Nationals are a team I could definitely see putting in first. Same with the Mets. Then the Phillies. Phillies made a lot of moves and they beat the Braves. I think they swept the Braves in the first three games, and then because their pitching looked really well, and then you got the Marlins. I'm just having them at the bottom because it's the Marlins and but they did break out of that mold last year, so those are those are my rankings for the NL East, but I could definitely see if the Marlins play really well, they could definitely do really well. And then same with everyone else, if that makes sense. I'll let you talk about your NL East.
Yeah, so I think he's going to play. I can't tell if Ryan Zimmerman is out or not. Maybe you can find out. He signed a 1-year deal in January, so I'm assuming that means he's going to play, especially because it's a 1-year deal. But I don't know. They haven't played a game yet, so I can't even check if he's had any stats because of COVID. But I guess we'll have to find out. So my NL East, I had the Phillies winning the division. I just think this is the year that they break out. Um, the additions of Real Muto, I think that's how you say it, JT Real Muto, is that how you say it? I think so. And then there's Bryce Harper, obviously, on the team, and they swept the Braves in their series against them. I just think like they're the better team right now. I think they have confidence. Aaron Nola is a very quality pitcher, and I like their rotation. I think they have some star pitchers I don't think many people consider. Uh, and I just like their roster. Now, I'm not the Phillies since they went back to the World Series and lost in 6 against the Yankees in 2009. Haven't really been the same team as they were before that. Obviously, they'd won 2008 against the Rays and they swept them, but since then they haven't been having the most success in the playoffs, and they're gonna have to get that monkey off their back this season. Next, I have the Braves. They're just too good. I just can't put them not below this, even though they could be. There's the Mets are next for me. Then Nationals and Marlins. Sorry, that was a little bit choppy wording, but I just don't know how to react to this because the Marlins made the playoffs last season, and by me putting them in fifth, that doesn't mean they're bad. Like this is just a great division. I don't. They made the playoffs last year, and the Nationals won the championship before that. Like who? Like where do I go? I don't know. They get Juan Soto back. They get everybody healthy. They have a full 162 game season. Do the Marlins continue their success or not? I'm not saying they won't. They were amazing last year, but I can't say they're going to. And then the Mets added Lindor. I mean, and they still have so many great players on their team, like Pete Alonso. Yeah, I mean, they're it's tough. I mean, I have Phillies, Braves, Mets, Nationals, and Marlins in that order. Like I said, could be completely flipped. I have no idea. I would not bet any money on this division if I was anybody. Uh, everybody in there, and this is going to be the hardest fought division. If a team is fifth, that does not necessarily mean they're bad in this division. They just had tough opponents, and that's just how it rolls sometimes. It's like the AFC North this past season in football. Yeah, I mean the Bengals were even playing tough. I mean it was just a great division. Do you want to speak on your NL Central?
Yeah, and then you were correct. Ryan Zimmerman is coming back. So that and Josh Bell is going to be awesome for the Nationals, but definitely a thing to watch. And just a reminder, we did this for the NBA, and I'm not saying it was perfect. It was definitely not perfect. Definitely wasn't bad. But if you had to lean one way, it'd be far to the bad side. As one person had Timberwolves go at the 8th seed, and not the Suns. I don't think was that you?
I had the
Austin,
Suns
or-
at the 5 seed.
Yeah, that was
So
me. I'm regretting those decisions right now. But
Yeah,
I'm hoping this
that could be,
baseball
like I
one.
said, that could be the division where I have the Marlins at the 5 seed and they end up winning the division. I mean, it's just like, well, I was wrong, but I mean, at least I knew beforehand, and I had a high chance of being completely wrong in that division.
Yeah, I'm hoping this baseball one turns out better for me. I need a bounce back. But for the NL Central, I got the Cardinals. They traded for Nolan Arenado. I like their pitching. And then I got the Brewers. I'm a little skeptical of the Brewers because of their pitching. And then I got the Cubs. Cubs, they lost Yu Darvish. They brought back Arrieta, but I'm not really sure what side they're doing. Are they like, we're going full rebuild, or we're gonna make it contention? But Yu Darvish is a huge loss for them, and I think it's gonna be tough in this facing the Cardinals and Brewers. And then I got the Reds, and then I got the Pirates. The Pirates are definitely rebuilding, and then the Reds are kind of in that iffy spot. What does your NL Central look like?
Yeah, so just to preface this, I mean, the Cardinals, they weren't on our championship or bust predictions. At least I don't think so. Our championship or bust predictions didn't have them, right?
Yeah, no, it was Padres,
Yankees.
Yankees, and then Braves. That was it. That was
Yeah.
the only three.
Yeah. But Yadier Molina is getting older, and the Cardinals, if they're not, I don't think they're championship or bust, but if they don't make another, like they did in 2019, conference finals, I mean, NLCS, conference finals, same thing. I don't see how you talk about the Nolan Arenado trade working. Um, they have too many star players on that team not to be the first in their division. Um, Next I have the Brewers. I just think Christian Yelich is too good. I know Trout couldn't like will his team to the playoffs. I just think the Brewers will rebound around him, and they made the playoffs last year as an 8 seed, and I think they could use that experience that they've had. They've also recently made it to an NLCS against the Dodgers in 2018. I just see this team being uh, a quality team. Next, I have the Reds. Um, they're a wild card. They could be absolutely terrible, or they could be decent. I don't see them contending in the top two. Next, I have the Cubs, and they actually could contend in the top two. I just have no faith in the Cubs right now. Um, they are not after last season was terrible. Um, didn't they lost to the Marlins, right?
I believe so. I'll double check on that.
I'm 90% sure they lost to the Marlins in the playoffs, and that's insane. In the last team's the Pirates. The Pirates could finish anywhere between fifth and third. I mean, it just depends on how their season rolls. It started off fine after beating the Cubs, but that kind of I don't think proves how good the Pirates are, but proves how bad the Cubs are. Um, and yeah, it's going to be uh, an interesting NLC Central. I could see the Cubs winning the division if they do get their stuff straight, but the Cardinals and Brewers are my favorites to win the division. Definitely. Did you find it yet?
I'm looking for it.
Okay, you just start and I'll go look. So what do you feel about the NL West?
So the NL West, I have the Dodgers. Their rotation is filthy. I've talked about the Mookie Betts trade. I love the Mookie Betts trade last year. They get their second part. You got an update on?
Yeah. They swept the Cubs 2-0.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's not good.
No.
Because the Cubs won the division last year.
Yeah, I think they did, and they also like lost to the Marlins in the playoffs, which terrible. That is so bad. Continue, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So they get the second piece of that, which I thought was just an incredible trade for the Dodgers, was David Price, and then they signed Trevor Bauer, and then you have Clayton Kershaw with Walker Buehler. Clayton Kershaw may not play well, but then you have Trevor Bauer, Walker Buehler. I also think then you got Dustin May, and then you have people from their rotation last year that can fill in, and they kept mostly, I believe, everyone from that championship run last year. So
Mostly.
I have them winning. Yeah, mostly. I think they maybe lost Jock Peterson.
To the Cubs, right?
Maybe. Yes. I think, yeah.
90% sure. I'm checking now, but I'm
Okay.
90% sure Jock Peterson went to the Cubs. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And then, so I just have them winning because they have incredible depth right now, and I just believe in them. And then second, I have the Padres. Well, I don't like what the Padres are doing. I don't like trading. I don't like signing Tatis to that incredible extension when he hasn't even played a full 162 game season. Last year, I think he played most of all the games, but the year before, in the 162 game
He was
season,
injured.
yeah, 60 games, and he didn't even reach arbitration when they gave him that huge extension. So that's something I'm not a fan of. And then they have Yu Darvish, Mike Clevenger, I think, is still coming back, but they don't have depth as much as the Dodgers. No one has depth as the Dodgers do. So
Pitching
I have
wise,
them
yeah, there is no contest.
Yeah. So that's the main thing separating them. So that's who I have at number 2. Then 3, I have the Diamondbacks. It's just hard when Padres are also good. It's just the Dodgers are the main thing is pitchers depth. So I have them at 1. Then Padres are going to be good, and then you have the Diamondbacks, and then Giants. I have them above the Rockies because I don't have any idea what the Rockies are doing. You trade Arenado, you let go of David Dahl, but you keep Trevor Story. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him. They're just a team, I think, that's heading towards a rebuild, while the Giants are already in the rebuild, and I think they're going to do well. So they're going to be better than the Rockies. What's
Yeah,
your
I
NL
100%
West?
agree. The Giants are a much better team. The Rockies and the Red Sox, I think, are going to be contending for the worst team I've ever seen in my entire life. Sorry to fans of those teams. The NL West for me has Dodgers, and it's just about pitching. What have we talked about for the majority of this podcast so far? Pitching, and the Dodgers are the best. They're the best. They have the best on paper, the best pitching bullpen and starting lineup, starting rotation, however you want to call it. And they would have to beat themselves. Somehow the Rockies beat them. So it may be the Red Sox have become the worst team. I don't know. But it's just I don't see how they don't win again. And I'm being honest. The Padres I don't think are as good as people think they are. They still have to get time to accumulate to each other. We've had this conversation about the trades. You need time in a new system, learning how to play. And that includes baseball. Even when you're a pitcher, you need to get acclimated to your catcher. And that's what Yu Darvish is going to have to do this season. That's what Blake Snell is going to have to do this season. They hope they get it done by the time playoffs come around, and then they have to play the Dodgers. If the Padres make the playoffs, they will be a wild card team. They're not beating the Dodgers unless major injuries. I mean, Bellinger, Bueller, and
Betts.
Bauer and Betts. Yeah, everybody's out. If everybody is out and they have literally nobody on their roster, yeah, the Dodgers may not make the playoffs. But I mean, as long as Kershaw has one leg, I think they'll be fine. Next, I have the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks are underrated. I think the Diamondbacks could contend over the Padres if the Padres get too ahead of themselves. They're like, oh, we're so good. We just traded for all these players. And they need to go prove that those trades were actually helping them. Sorry to go back to the Cubs, but that's another reason they lost Yu Darvish, and it's like their pitching is bad. The Cubs confuse me also. That's why I had them. I think at fourth. Or third or fourth fourth. It's just so bad. And then I had the Giants next. The Giants are so much better than the Rockies, and it's not even if they have a worse record, they're better than the Rockies because at least they know what they're doing. Like the Rockies are actively contending while they're terrible. Like I don't understand what they're trying to do. They should rebuild. They should trade. If they're not going to, okay, fine. You don't trade Trevor Story, but you need to move off of older players, and they're just not doing it. Like if I go to their roster currently, it's not as many young guys as you would need to see. I mean, they still have Charlie Blackmon. He's 34. They still had players. I would trade Charlie Blackmon right now. Okay, fine. You don't trade Trevor Story. He's younger. I understand that move. Keep him, build around him. However, Charlie Blackmon's 34. He's not getting younger, and his trade value will only go down from this point. There's no reason not to move him, especially after you trade Arenado. That was the move that said, "And we're rebuilding," and they press pause. They press pause on rebuilding, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, even if you get a better record than the Giants had a better season because they're actively rebuilding to get their team better. And I have no idea. Like, they got rid of Bumgarner. They got one of the best players in franchise history. One of the most important players in Giants history is Madison Bumgarner, and they got rid of him. They knew that he needs greener pastures. We need greener pastures. We're not as good anymore. Let's move on. They got rid of Pablo Sandoval, another one of the best players in Giants histories. He helped with all three of those championships they got. He won World Series MVP, I believe, in 2014. I mean, they just no, not 2014, 2012. I think he won one of those. You can check me on that, but he was a major part of those teams, and they got rid of him. He was just older. I mean, yes, he did win World Series MVP. Check what year it was. I don't remember. I think it was 2012.
2012.
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, I knew he won one. I just couldn't remember which year. Those are the stats I have in my brain instead of doing schoolwork. But yeah, like I said, one of the best players, one of the most influential players in the history of San Francisco, is gone, and it's not because he's terrible. He stepped in. I think he plays for the Braves now. He stepped in for one of his pinch hit home run. Then goes back to the bench. I mean, that's just how. It's the life of Pablo Sandoval. He played well last year, in my opinion. And
he does play for the Braves.
He does, yeah. Okay, he stepped in and hit a home run in his first at bat. I remember that. But last year, they traded him last season, so there is no bad. You cannot have a terrible season if you're the Giants, because they're rebuilding. They have a goal, and whether it takes a long time, rebuild, in my opinion, should not take more than 2 seasons of rebuilding, of being bad. If it takes more than 2 seasons, you're doing something wrong. Look at teams that you can rebuild
Rangers.
extremely fast. You can rebuild extremely fast. I mean, 2 seasons maybe pushing 2 seasons of being terrible. Like, you realize one season you missed playoffs, you're like, I have to rebuild. So you miss the playoffs. They do are terrible, and you should be close to making the playoffs by that next season. Sorry, I stuttered, but holy cow, I cannot speak.
Saying.
By that next season, you have to be starting to contend. You see teams like the Blackhawks right now in hockey. Many teams think, oh, they're rebuilding. Well, no, they're the 5th seed and they're down by 2 points below the Predators. You see, and they're just consistently rebuilding, but not rebuilding. The Oklahoma City Thunder, beautiful job by the Oklahoma City Thunder. The greatest job a organization has ever done, in my opinion, ever. I've never seen a team be this intelligent. Sam Presti.
I'm quoting you.
Yeah, I've never seen a team do that before in my entire life. Just say, we're rebuilding, but we're also good. With the Chris Paul last year, they traded all their good players. They're like, Paul George, you're gone. Russell Westbrook, you're gone. First round picks, give me. I want first round picks. And now they're gonna rebuild. Last year they made the playoffs. They almost went to the second round. They were a game away. I think they lost by 2 or 3 points. They were 2 or 3 points away from going to the second round against the Lakers, which both teams would have lost against. No matter what team won that game, they were losing to the Lakers. But they were so good last year, and they're still on that verge of getting to that 10 seed. It is possible for them to, because they signed Moses Brown, best signing of all year. Moses Brown. Dude, how does Sam Presti find these players? I have no idea. And he just signed them. How are we talking about the Thunder in a MLB preview? I have no idea. My point is that the Rockies are terrible, and the Giants are better than them. Yeah, that shows why I have the Rockies at 5.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm trying to remember what you said. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Oh, Padres. The number one team I see Joey Gallo getting traded to is the Padres, because I feel the Padres. You mentioned Joey Gallo strikes out a lot. That's just who he is. He's getting better at walks, and I just see the Padres going. He's a great defensive right fielder. They're like, we need another piece. We want Joey Gallo. Here are a number of prospects. That's the only team I see trading for Joey Gallo, because I think they're trying to throw everything in and like we're gonna beat the Dodgers. Okay, you Darvish, Blake Snell, Tatis, here's some money. Just throw it all in.
I think
and
another
see what
team, sorry to
happens.
interrupt, is the Cubs. I like I don't know what the Cubs are doing currently, but they could be looking to try to get another outfielder, another player that is good defensively speaking. Um, the Chicago Cubs are another team that I don't think looks at strikeouts. They signed Jock Peterson. I believe Jock Peterson plays left field. I am
Yes,
99% sure that
I
he
would agree
plays.
with you on that.
Yeah, but I see them as definitely being a team that they're like, well, everybody expects us to be good because we won a championship a couple years ago. Just like the Toronto Raptors now, like, oh, we're just bad now. But
Another basketball team
yeah,
in
I know. I'm just
MLB.
connecting it to everything. But I mean, like I said, it's just these teams. I don't think they realize what they're doing per se. They just expect winning to happen. It's like, oh, we're training for these name brand players. Oh, we're gonna win now. We're just gonna win.
That's
I don't think they realize that's not how it works. Even though both of these teams have had recent success. Well, not the, I guess uh,
Cubs.
yeah, the Cubs. They made the playoffs this year. That's enough recency for me to be like, sort of, kind of, I guess.
That's a perfect name. What you said, name brand players. Like it's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong. Like we want this or it's buying an Apple product because it's Apple. No, not because of what the product does.
Well, it's also
Like
like you think, oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's gonna be clean. Just because you bought the best vacuum doesn't mean the floor is going to be not dirty. You have to do it. It doesn't matter that you got it. You have to prove it. While it is harder to do it with worse things, it's not impossible. The Nationals were not a better team on paper than the 2019 Astros. How did they not win a championship when they had all these great pitchers? I have no idea. But
and cheating.
yeah, and cheating. It's just
We
outstanding.
can't forget that.
And like I said, Jason Hayward is the right fielder this season. He's played right field all 3 games so far. He's batting 182, and last year bet 265, which isn't bad. But I don't think he's as defensively sound. He's won now. He's won 5 Gold Gloves. Looked it up. Is he won 4 or 5?
I got you.
I think it's 5. I think. Could be wrong. Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 5.
It is 5. You are 3 for 3 today in this episode. He went 3 for 4 last episode.
Yeah, but I mean is he 31?
Will he be 4 for 4?
Because I know
We'll
Gallo's
find
27. I looked at the stat earlier.
He is 31. 4 for 4.
I don't know. I just don't feel like Jason Hayward's just as good as he used to be. He like how I actually don't know this. How long has it been since he won his last Gold Glove? Because I know Joey Gallo won last year.
Do you
Was it 2017? I'm just guessing.
he was on a run from 2014 to 2017.
And then he won one in 2012.
Let me see. Let me look at Wikipedia. Good old Wikipedia. I'm trying to see why. So 2012. Okay, 2012. Here it is.
It was 2012 or no?
I'm looking. Yes. His first NL Rawlings Gold
So
Glove.
he won in
So
2012 and then 2014 through 2017. Yeah, but I don't think he's as good defensively now, and he's also more injury prone than I think Gallo will be throughout his career. So I could see them making that move, especially because how much is Gallo making?
Like, not, it's his contract year. He's not making much, but then
Hayward's
he's gonna get
making
paid.
21. So yeah, I don't know. That's another team I think could be trading. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. This is not a preview or a prediction of where teams are going to be. We're just saying how bad we think the Cubs and Rockies are right now because they're not the best decision-making teams. Like I said, the Red Sox may be the worst team I've ever seen on paper. I watched them get destroyed by 10 to an Orioles team that I thought was terrible. So there's not
I
much.
think we can briefly do our wild card teams, and then we'll end it.
Oh, yeah,
as you are
yeah.
5 for 5 for today. Because we made our predictions. It's prediction, and we made our standings. And
they lost by 8 yesterday. It was at one point 11-0, and they eventually got it to 11-3. Good job, Red Sox, losing by 8.
Okay, so let's bring it back. Deep breaths, and now wildcard teams. Aggressive breathing. All right, I'm just gonna do AL Rays Twins. I think the Rays are gonna do well, and then I have the Twins making the playoffs. And then National League, I got Padres because you can't beat the Dodgers, and then I have the Mets. But any team from the NL West, as we mentioned, they could probably fight for East. Oh, my bad. I got my directions mixed up. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's hard. You do like whichever one's L. We'll do another episode where we learn directions, and we did math in the previous episode.
Yeah. So I mean, it's close. We're good enough. My AL wildcard teams are the Blue Jays. I think George Springer will add enough, along with the additions of Marcus Springer. I just combined Marcus Semien and George Springer into one huge player. Nice. That'd be a pretty good player. Huh?
We do that in baseball episodes all the time. Like I confused Garrett Cole with Cole Hamels, then Swanson with someone else.
Yeah, I knew it was Marcus Semien too. Like I said George Springer, then I said Marcus Springer. I have no idea, but yeah, Marcus Semien and George Springer I think will add tremendous things to this team, and I think it'll will them to the playoffs. And then my other team is the White Sox, and that's only because I have the Angels going second in the AL West, and if they make the playoffs, I have no idea what happens because they could be a team that like their team is either terrible or they're contenders because of Ohtani's ability to hit. You don't even have to have a DH. You could literally, when you take him out, then you can put in the DH. I mean, the DH will be. I don't know. People like Ohtani is like the reason why we should not have universal DHs. Like if all hitters could hit, if all pitchers could hit like this, the league would just. There would be no DH. I guess Nelson Cruz wouldn't have a job except for Nelson Cruz. He would have a job.
Yeah.
But, and then I don't. Yeah, for the NL, I have the Braves. But like I said, like you said, anybody from the NL East could definitely be here. Just like plug their name there after the fact. We'll just edit over this. And then the Padres is the other team, is just because of how many additions they've made. If they miss the playoffs, they're going to be memed. There's no way. There's no way they live it down if they miss the playoffs this year, especially because they have the Giants and Rockies in their division. So I just have no idea how they miss the playoffs. Any final thoughts?
Nope, not really. I have good feelings about my predictions. I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions, so like I can definitely I can set the bar higher.
I think I could get all the playoff teams I predicted right, except for the team from the NL East. And the fact that I chose 2 really lowers my chances. Please just take the NL East with a grain of salt. We're not future predictors. Like I know I know a lot about a lot of sports. However, the NL East is just like some divisions, and like I could not have told you that the Steelers last year were going to win. Wait, did they even win the division? The Steelers won the division. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, they did.
They won.
They won the division. Yeah.
Oh, they did.
They had a home game against the Browns. But yeah, I could those 3 teams were so good I couldn't tell you before the season which one was going to win. I think I predicted the Steelers, but that doesn't mean that I got that because I'm so smart. No, that was just a guess out of one of the best 3 teams in the division. And that's how this division is going to be. I have no idea. I'm predicting the Phillies to win the division. They could also be last. Like I have no idea. Every team is a wild card. Every team could miss the playoffs. Every team could make the playoffs. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're going to end it on there. So we tied into NFL, we've tied into NHL, and we've tied into the NBA. So I think that encapsulates, and we're talking MLB, so we're good.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
We covered all 4 sports.
And I mentioned March Madness last episode, so we basically have covered everything we have ever covered on this podcast.
Yeah. I think Baylor
That's-
wins tonight. We'll just add that into this, so we've connected all of them.
And if you want the reasoning for that, you go back to the last episode.
Yeah, that's
we're on
large brain.
And then speaking of the finals, which start in math is hard, 37 minutes. I think I'm correct on that. I'm gonna say I'm correct.
way too lazy to do that math, so yeah.
I
oh
think
wait,
I'm
you're
right.
you're right.
Yes, 1 for 1. Let's go. And so we will do a review next episode. Hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we had fun talking about everything.
Yeah,
it was pretty fun.
This is a more loose episode. We had like a structure, but at the same time we didn't. It's just fun sometimes to go a little bit outside the box and try to talk about why we think the Red Sox are terrible or something. I don't know.
And to talk about the Rangers in the draft.
Because
Jordan Lawler.
I didn't say much about the Rangers except like if they win more than 62 games, it's a good season.
Or 105 and 57.
Yeah. I mean if they go 105 and 57, we'll come back to this video and be like, I'm a prophet. But
all right. Talk to y'all later. Thanks for listening.